Hello and welcome to the new era, the Newsbusters podcast on video for your enjoyment. Here today, our managing editor, Curtis Houck, and of course, David Bozell, our president.
Hello.
I'm Tim Graham, your executive editor. And of course, we're here to discuss something we found utterly shocking.
That was cool. Curtis and Bill came down the hallway like, Kimmel was just fired.
Was he fired? Because they're all like, well, he's suspended indefinitely, which could be a week.
Yeah, Sinclair says, regardless of what happens, they're not going to
air the show.
Yeah.
I'm also
permanently, because I saw the tweet. I saw the tweet yesterday suggesting that they would have to be satisfied with the resolution.
Of course, you know, Kimmel is not going to give an inch.
Well, I would imagine that what they certainly could do, like the Colbert Show is ending, the Kimmel thing, they could say, well, we're going to go get a new host.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let's start with the offending clip that we all saw on Monday night where Jimmy Kimmel's lying his face off.
Our Alex Christie made this go viral as well.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So, David, when you heard this whole thing had happened, I mean, what do you think the future should be here?
You know, I want to first take a second to applaud the affiliates, Nexstar and Sinclair. Back before the streaming and social media era, there was this old adage in the television business, you better keep the affiliates happy. And that meant the on-air talent going across the country, doing junkets, doing cold chicken dinners, keeping the affiliates happy. Nexstar and Sinclair, I think, realized what we realized, and Alex pointed out almost immediately when Alex first saw Jimmy air these horrible remarks, which is either Jimmy Kimmel is a terrible liar or he is woefully ill-informed. Either way, he does not deserve the grace of being able to broadcast this filth into our television screens as, quote, entertainment. And I want to commend Nexstar and Sinclair for standing up for their constituents, which are essentially their customers. In the cord-cutting era, these companies are trying to preserve the cord and trying to prevent customers from cutting the cord. I do not blame the tens of millions of people who may want to do that after seeing Jimmy Kimmel try to suggest that the assassin was of MAGA. But number one, I want to applaud those two companies. Number two, ABC. It's about time you guys start to figure out that the country has changed its tune here and have had enough. That it's not just conservatives. It is tens of millions of normal, red-blooded Americans who are not even politically inclined that are sick and tired of turning on their local ABC affiliate and hearing a guy spew such bile, such filth, not just at MAGA, the political movement of President Trump, but suggesting that people should die outside of hospitals because they were unvaccinated, and a zillion other examples that we'll get to in a moment. Fire this man for once and for all. I'm not a huge fan of people losing their jobs, but in this instance, when he had every available moment to prepare his own remarks and having vetted his remarks through a writing team, a production team, various producers, and he still went ahead with it, even after knowing the truth, he deserves to be fired.
Amen. I mean, and of course, his head writer is Mrs. Kimmel. But
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Well.
Molly
she needs better information sources.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, to us, the frustrating thing, which is why at that late date, you know, the shooter was brought in on Friday.
Yep.
We knew what was on the bullet casings, catch this fascist or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, for you to blatantly suggest that the MAGA people are desperately lying about how this is their guy, it's like a Twitter account with 101 followers.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I want to address here. Number one, to your point, David, about the affiliates. If you take the Sinclair and Nexstar ABC affiliates, those are about 60 of the affiliates. And as Brent Baker would probably tell us, he'd have the precise number, but it's roughly about 120 TV markets in the country. So about half of the ABC affiliates in America come from one of these two conglomerates. And the thing that folks may have to realize here and understand is the folks at these networks, small town America, where all of us came from, they are people who do not make as much money. If you are in a lot of these markets and you're not a kid just right out of school trying to get started, you're doing this because you love it. You're doing this because you believe in the highest ideals of the news business. Sure, there might be partisans along the way, but the people at these Sinclair and Nexstar affiliates in the Midwest, the West Coast, the smaller markets, they are closer to the people than the people crying about this. CNN going DEFCON 1 last night, treating it like some mass shooter incident. Never mind, 3 police officers in Pennsylvania died. Anderson Cooper spends 58 minutes of the show, then throws in 90 seconds at the end saying, oh yeah, by the way, this happened today, in terms of priorities. And then the second on content. You bring up the point about vetting, that this went through so many different layers. And this has been a conscious decision. Our Alex Christie found at the end of 2024, 3,333 political jokes were told. 3,051 of those were attacking people on the right. Yeah. So it works out to 92% of all jokes. And that, I believe, was number one in terms of all the shows, in terms of the worst percentages.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind. I mean, look, I don't mind. I don't mind being picked on. Okay, I don't want to whine about being picked on. But what I do mind, Alex, I think again, I think since 2023, 179 guests on late night television. 178 of them were left wing, and the one right winger was Liz Cheney.
58 Democrats on Kimmel's show since Alex started tracking in September of 2022.
Yeah.
There were 2 Republicans, but they were the same person. They were Mike Lindell twice.
Who was on to be mocked.
So the 2 numbers really won, actually.
Yeah. So this is like someone obviously got into Jimmy Fallon's ear and said, "Hey, like the dogs are coming. Our affiliates want to see some fresh faces and some fresh voices. There's this guy over at Fox that is nipping at your heels if he hasn't already taken.
Oh, he's ahead.
He's ahead.
Gutfeld's ahead.
So let's rather than be enemies, okay, let's try to be friends." And he invites Greg Gutfeld, right? And so it's smart move by Fallon to do that. And Kimmel just couldn't muster up the guts or the business sense to do that. He did not. To me, he did not care about keeping his affiliates happy and satisfied, and by extension, their customers.
No, and here's the fascinating thing, and I was kind of expecting Curtis to say this too. Sinclair stations, who are presumed to be a pile of right-wingers, on a daily basis are running George Stephanopoulos in the morning.
Yeah, they make
David Muir in the evening.
Yeah, George Stephanopoulos, David Muir, The View. I mean, all of these kinds of things, you've made that decision. So you do wonder what is next. Bill made the great observation, so to attribute this to him, we were talking to him last night, talking about this through the election in November as just kind of a mile marker. It is proven, as you said earlier as well, we are dragging the Overton window back. The left shifted the Overton window in terms of acceptable debate and cultural zeitgeist into a certain direction. The last year plus, but I think the seeds were definitely planted during COVID. We have yanked this back, and that this is not just some like witch hunt investigation. And in terms of the business sense, we know that Colbert's show was losing money. It was costing about $100 million.
Because they had a staff of 200.
So, and the other thing I just say is, I would presume that Kimmel's show is probably going to have some outrageous number in terms of the number of people that work on that show. And I mean, also the cost too as well. Not that New York's any cheaper, but Los Angeles, where Kimmel is.
Everything's unionized.
Yeah.
But to David's point, Jimmy Kimmel explicitly said, and I forget the year, but it's at least like 4 or 5 years ago. Jimmy Kimmel explicitly said, if you're a Republican, I don't want you watching this show. That's been his business. He doesn't have a business model.
Yeah.
He has a lecture model. It's like, it's my way or the highway. If you don't like my quote unquote jokes, go watch Greg Gutfeld, and people do.
Where did he, I mean, yeah, he came from the Man Show, okay, irreverent thing. That was one of my shows during my adolescence. Learned all sorts of irreverent things, but funny.
Yeah.
And he used to be funny, and he was kind of the new kid on the block in the late night stream. He kind of comes on as Leno and Letterman are at the late stages of their feuds, essentially. Right?
Yeah.
Do I have my timeline right? Where did he go off the rails and just
Like everybody else, about the time Trump
The
came down the
escalator?
escalator. I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, I think before too, he had very humble beginnings because I believe he aired after Nightline.
yes.
Before a few years in, they made the switch to have him at 11:35 directly against the others, and move Nightline to 12:35. So that's also very interesting as well.
That's a show we don't even watch anymore. When
Yeah, I
they
miss-
started being a half hour and bootleg butt injections.
Hat tip Scott Whitlock on that one.
So
Well, New York Times just called me. It was cute. They said we've done some AI digging, and we figured out that Alex Christie's clip was the one that started all this. And if you look at his post now, it's got 15 million, so that would make sense. And then he asked me. He said, "It doesn't seem right that the Media Research Center would spend all this time on late night." And I just chuckled at him. I said, "Look, man, we will go wherever the bias is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to take 90 minutes out of your night every night to spew liberal bile at us, we're going to document it. We're going to expose it."
we call it the People's Republic of Late Night. I mean, it is remarkably leftist.
And the funniest thing, gang, about all this, Alex's tweet, it's just quotes.
Yeah,
It is.
it's what he said.
It's not any sort of all caps commentary. OMG, look at this idiot. He literally just ran the quotes.
Yeah.
And that's so much of what we do. And some of our best video tweets have been because of that.
Yep.
It's kind of
Let the
remarkable to
audience
see.
decide.
Yeah.
Let the market decide. Maybe they didn't see it in real time, or maybe they didn't comprehend it. Maybe they didn't comprehend it in real time.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw the Trump joke afterwards, which I thought was funny. I mean, Trump's reaction to the question at the Rose Garden, how he's dealing with the death of Charlie Kirk, and he points to the construction cranes. He says, "Well, look at this building." If you know him, that's Trump saying, "I will not present weakness."
Right. That's
Correct.
certainly what I saw.
Right.
At the risk of looking insensitive. But
Right.
this is the funniest part is Jimmy Kimmel's the one that's dramatically insensitive. We're at this phase right now where a man has been murdered. And the news networks, their coverage overall was very calm and horrified and respectful, and for a brief period unifying. And yeah, you just know that the Jimmy Kimmels can't stand it. They can't possibly be civil, and they think that we've got to be nasty because that's what our audience wants.
Well, and that's one in the same of the wider legacy liberal media. In the trends that we've seen and that I've seen was, yes, it went from saying that we must do better or very somber coverage. You did have some of these folks on CNN, MSNBC, Matt Dowd, hateful thoughts and controversial lightning rod, all these thoughts that came out just after we learned he was shot. Then, yes, then it became over the weekend this right-winger thing. But then Kimmel still came out on Monday night.
Yeah.
And still did that. By that time, the left had already moved on to just this point about, oh no, he himself is responsible for his actions, not any wider ideology. And if he were still on the air, I would have ventured to say that if his show would have aired last night, it would have been the Matt Gutman thing, the Power of Love, the Montel Williams thing.
Who also should be fired,
That
or
we
at
did
least
that.
afforded the opportunity to apologize on the air.
Yeah,
at a minimum.
exactly. I mean, the fact that he just got away with it at 6:32 a.m. Eastern time is like kind of hilarious.
Well, I mean, this
that
is
where
but
people bury their
a
apologies?
He's a
6:30 in
trend
the morning?
person, and that's my point. That Kimmel is one and the same. He is friends with these folks. Jake Tapper did his little Murrow monologue from his home last night with his little City Connect Phillies sweatshirt. Very nice, by the way. Talking about Nexstar and Sinclair, saying that there's a conspiracy afoot, pretty much. And he himself was at Jimmy Kimmel's birthday party with all sorts of A-list celebrities. These people are personal friends of Jimmy Kimmel, so that point needs to be made as well, that they are all part of the same blob.
Well, But see, here's the thing about CNN that's fascinating, because it's that same spirit, what I would call the Jimmy Kimmel spirit, was like, they brought Chris Licht in and they said, we're going to try to be more decent and objective. Right. And Team CNN, Team Zucker was not having it whatsoever. They were like, we have to spew this guy out. He's got to go. We've got to stick to being all Acosta all the time, even though Jim Acosta got canned.
Right, yeah, they did a few sacrificial lambs. Stelter, John Harwood, Saliza, a few
others.
And then
Stelter came back.
And then Stelter came back and also licked, stepped on himself by talking to Tim Alberta too much, but that's another story.
It just seems like these events, these monumental news events, Charlie Kirk's assassination, has shown some folks, some of these guys' true colors. Matthew Dowd's instincts to sort of go on the air and say, well, it could have been a supporter of his waving a gun around and it just sort of, dislodged the gun into the neck. Okay, I mean, that's ridiculous. Katie Tur suggesting that President Trump could use this as a political opportunity. Jimmy Kimmel had an awesome opportunity Monday, but he's so close-minded and so closed off to see it. He had the unbelievable opportunity to be a little humble and say, I don't know much about this Charlie Kirk guy, and what I did know I don't really like, but I'm going to bring on someone who's going to help explain to us this phenomenon known as Charlie Kirk, why everyone is talking about this, and just invite a Megyn Kelly on to talk about Charlie and what he stood for and what he meant to millions of people. And Jimmy Kimmel would have had probably the best rated show he's had in months. But that never would have gotten him an Emmy nomination.
Right.
And that's why they don't do it.
And I should just say, Megyn Kelly, Ben Shapiro, a few of these other folks, they're hilarious. They're very funny people too.
Yeah, they would have carried it, and they would have cross-promoted it, and they would have jumped at that opportunity. You could have had even a kind of a debate thing, like let's bring on Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher, to talk about Charlie, if that's what you wanted to do. And I think, not to date ourselves, but I think Johnny Carson would have done that, right? Or even a Jay Leno would have attempted that. Let's learn together, liberal California audience in studio. Let's learn together who this guy really was and what made him tick. But instead, you go for the lie about it. I mean, bad jokes are one thing. Lies are prepared lies and scripted lies, and what should have been vetted lies is where why I think he should just be let go permanently. Well, I know Guillermo's cleaning out the closet. I saw the clips, but
Johnny Carson was of a totally different era. And I think for the most part, Jay Leno tried to be that. I think to some degree, Jimmy Fallon is the closest to that. Even though I think we would find that Jimmy Fallon's joke totals are comparable to the others, maybe a little milder. The tone's definitely milder.
Yes, the tone is different.
Playing ukuleles.
Well,
with
right.
bubbles coming out of them. I mean,
right. It's a different approach.
It's a different, but I don't know how he knows how to be sophisticated, right? With some gravitas. I don't know if Jimmy Fallon could have an interview with
I don't think that's
Kelly.
his personality.
I don't think it is personality. And I don't really necessarily, I'm not calling for him to be. But
it's just a much more positive show. And almost every guest Jimmy Fallon has on, it's like, you're great. How are you doing? Yes. I love you.
Yes, it's a golden retriever. Fallon is a golden retriever type person.
But that's why him merely having Trump on, before it even started, they were upset because they know Jimmy's interviewing style. And they were like, this is going to be a puff piece. And he did ask questions that were fairly open-ended. It's like, again, these guys expected this to be like a fierce 60 Minutes interview. It's like, it's a late night show.
Steve Croft and Steve Inskeep didn't ask Obama open-ended questions.
Oh my God. Well, of course. But that leads to the other thing that Curtis and I were discussing, which is what always tends to happen in these things, and the left is doing this now, is the left uses these people. This is where they get their information. This is where they get their talking points.
Yeah.
And then when they say something that's completely false, they're like, He's a comedian. Why are you holding a comedian to a standard?
Douglas Murray nailed this when he went on Rogan recently, and he said that that's the dangerous part that these far-left comedians operate in. Whenever they say something controversial that'll get them in trouble, they say, oh no, I'm just a comedian. Yeah. So I didn't actually mean it. It's just satire, even though there was no punchline in this at all.
Right.
The thing is, these folks talk about themselves is so important and is part of our cultural zeitgeist, that they are leaders of the First Amendment, that they are the embodiment of the First Amendment, and that in this time, this fraught 8-9 days that we've been in as a country, they had a chance to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what? We didn't always get it right. Or we can do better. But they have failed. They have failed to do this. They are going back to this. They are so broken up about this as if they have a right. Eric Swalwell was on CNN this morning with Berman and articulated this, that Jimmy Kimmel has a right to do this. And you're like, what? You don't have a right
you don't have a right to an audience.
You know, when CBS cancels So Help Me Todd, nobody says the First Amendment's been violated. People cancel TV shows all the time. You know, they're so pompous. Because, yeah, it's like, for them, it's like an impeachment proceeding or something. They think it's explicitly political every time. And you can't just say, we've had enough of you.
The New York Times guy asked me that question. You know, he's a comedian, you know, and we all make mistakes. You know, can't we all just get along and you know, can't we forgive and forget? Like, and I told him, I said, those were prepared remarks.
Yeah.
Okay, vetted.
Yes.
And he's issued no apology, and he's shown no regret. And ABC, I'm actually kind of surprised that ABC has not issued its statement suggesting, like, we know he got it wrong, and that's why we've made the decision. You know,
I mean, there was that sort of tone of, gee, our affiliates are unhappy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, yeah, we apologize on Mr. Kimmel's behalf.
Right.
I don't think that was in there.
Yeah, it's all conspiracy.
But it's, you know, the fact of the matter, and this is where, for us, we didn't expect here at Newsbusters that the show was going to be ended. That was a surprise. Yeah. And we certainly didn't expect this. And so we don't even call for this generally until we're at this stage, because they've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't, this is different than the other big thing that we've had this year, the last time all three of us were together at the table, PBS and NPR. That was something that we've been steadily beating the drum on, because
and we never thought it would happen.
We never thought it would happen, but the public had a more direct role in this by petitioning its government to do this, whereas this one with private businesses making private decisions, we weren't really sure that, yes, you know, we can list advertisers, we can say these things, but at the end of the day, it is a decision by this company. And this is what the left is doing. They're trying to say that there's this conspiracy theory. Brendan Carr forced them to do this. ABC, Good Morning America, falsely said Brendan Carr suspended Kimmel himself, which is not true. Elizabeth Schulze, you have some apologizing to do, corrections to make. But really, at the end of the day, even CBS's legal analyst pointed this out. Ellie Honing on CNN pointed this out as well. It is a decision that Disney made, David.
Well, I want to be clear, too. We don't call for anybody's dismissal because of bias.
No.
Or political viewpoint.
Sparring.
Yeah, we enjoy it. But I will call for people's dismissal if you either A, knowingly lie, or B, lie ignorantly. And then C, subsequently, like, don't have the stones to man up.
Yeah.
And that, I think, does warrant a call for dismissal. And I think, you know, it sounds like Sinclair is all on board on that one. Nexstar, I think's biggest market, I think, is Chicago.
And they have News Nation. They are the owners of the good people over at News Nation as well.
I thought I saw that.
Yeah, so that's WGN.
WGN,
Yep.
yeah. So, I mean, if they're getting complaints, and they were first out of the blocks, you know, Sinclair is like 10 minutes after. But if Nexstar is getting complaints and their biggest market is Chicago, of all things,
they're going to be concerned.
They're going to. I think ABC's got it.
And KTLA, the CW affiliate in Los Angeles, is also a Nexstar one as well.
And I think that the Nexstar as a company is not Sinclair. Nexstar as a company has been attacked for being overly woke. But I think in this case, the point that all the reporters are trying to make is that Nexstar has a purchasing decision that's in front of the FCC.
About Tegna. They're trying to buy Tegna, which is it's a smaller conglomerate. It used to be Gannett's TV side that they were partnering with USA Today. That includes WUSA 9 here in DC, KHOU in Houston, a few others. So larger markets. There's one in Atlanta, I believe.
That's all muddying the water. They're all trying to muddy the waters.
But they're all trying. Yeah, exactly.
But they want to blame Trump. And Brendan Carr, as the chairman of the FCC, has been quite clear, as he was in his interviews last night, that we are going to make sure that broadcast networks act in the public interest. Now, the interesting thing is Republican heads of the FCC, including Trump's in the first term, are fairly libertarian guys. This is a different sound. Mm-hmm. Now, I think to some extent that comes from Trump basically saying, you tried to ruin me, you tried to put me in jail, now you're going to feel a little heat. But that whole notion of, we all know this, they're not acting in the public interest, they're acting in the Democrats' interest. That's the way they operate.
Well, I also think I think FCC Chairman Carr, as far as I know, has a responsibility to the broadcasters themselves, in as much as if they seek his counsel and say, like, how do I get out from under this guy who's on my airwaves that I don't want? And I think the advice was, you can call for him, you could block him, no problem, and you're not going to suffer, some sort of legal consequence for doing so. And so that's what they did. And I don't know where the regulatory overreach was.
Well, but
on Carr's behalf.
They just wanted this to be. They wanted a fascist narrative, and it was like Trump and the authoritarian playbook. If I hear the words authoritarian playbook one more time,
I should just add a quick nerdy note on this one. This has been a decision in the past that affiliates have made to not carry certain programs.
Oh.
NBC had a Playboy show, I believe, about the early days of Playboy.
Okay.
I think it was something
Some
like that.
Some affiliate said no thanks.
Yeah, that the Utah affiliate, owned by the Mormon Church, the NBC affiliate in Salt Lake City, basically said no thanks.
I think we had that with the Victoria's Secret show.
Didn't PBS have the same problem with
Well, they had some. Well, Tongues Untied back in '91.
Yes. There you go.
So it's not without.
It's in there.
It's in there.
Individual shows is not without precedent, and I believe there was some sort of issue as well when there was one year where ABC wanted to show the uncut or like the non-TV, the theatric version of Saving Private Ryan, and that obviously caused all kinds of problems.
It's brutal at the beginning.
Yeah, it has all kinds of problems about that, and basically ABC, to their credit on that one, was basically like, too bad. We're going to do, and they compromised by having John McCain do a viewer discretion advised 10 times.
Yeah, I remember my old man commenting on that and complimenting ABC, saying this was a movie that for not for kids, but for high schoolers, that needed to see.
But the affiliates could make the decision.
The affiliates could make the decision. But what was the Tongues Untied situation?
Well, I mean, this was a documentary.
It sounds similar to all that.
Made by a black gay man with AIDS, and it had extremely sexually explicit imagery and language. And it was definitely not for kids. And this is the other thing though. A lot of PBS affiliates put that on at midnight.
Right.
In the red states, that went on at midnight. It did not air at 9 p.m.
And also I think too, mentioned with Kimmel has said all kinds of sexually explicit things on his show before, and nobody's really batted an eye about this.
Well, I mean, in today's day and age, it's a different world than when Brent Bozell had the Parents Television Council.
What are some of Kimmel's greatest?
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones that we'll have a clip package here to tease. But he said that Sarah Palin, this is in 2016, is the HPV of American politics. In 2017, he said Ted Cruz masturbates to pictures of poor people without health care.
Yike.
He called Ted Cruz the slug of a human being. And then some of the more stupid ones, they should be praying to God to forgive them, as in Republicans, for letting the gun lobby run this country because it's so crazy. He said this after the Las Vegas shooting. He also claims that Florida, by the Don't Say Gay law, it was trying to create some kind of gay emergency in Florida. And he also said all kinds of things that are just obviously not true. Claiming the Supreme Court will come for same-sex marriage. They'll come for interracial marriage. These guys, they might as well come out and say, here's the real story. If we can't get laid, nobody else is going to have any fun either. And the last one I'll just share here, is he said, I had a lot of respect for Mitt Romney, but trying to fight Donald Trump by teaming up with Ted Cruz, that's like trying to fight chlamydia by teaming up with AIDS.
Now, here's the important point, David, about...
just unnecessary.
Here's the important point about Kimmel having an animus for Ted Cruz. Some of us remember...
Didn't they play basketball? I guess you should.
Ted
play
Cruz
basketball.
beat him in one-on-one.
Oh, that's still a beef?
I gotta say, that's gotta be in there somewhere.
Still a beef? They could have... Well, okay. They had some kind of relationship. I hope it was amicable. Kimmel could have had Ted Cruz on to talk about Charlie Kirk.
Sure.
Okay, I want to bring on my old buddy, my old basketball sparring partner. They could have just redone the bit. And Ted would have done fine, and it would have been fine. It's unforced error. Well, I shouldn't say unforced errors because they're reading the script, they're writing the script, they're practicing the monologue. Lots of people say that's good to go.
And you can read Alex's write-up. You can read Alex's write-up at Newsbusters from Tuesday morning because he did a roundup of all the other shows from Monday. They all said dumb things. But the point is, though...
a different degree.
You're right. Yeah, we as Newsbusters provide transcripts of the things we're writing about, and you can be the judge to see, yeah, this was kind of stupid and incendiary, but not anything, that's untoward or a higher level. Kimmel did that.
Kimmel crossed the Rubicon.
So let's take
obviously, affiliates recognize that.
Let's take a look, when Bill D'Agostino has a moment and we're like, let's do Worst of Kimmel, and
let him cook.
He'll be like, 4 hours later, here it is. He and Alex went through the Worst of Kimmel, and of course, yes, he could make a 26-minute video of the Worst of Kimmel, but we have a shorter version here that we'd like you to see.
Much prayer and reflection, the president this morning decided to take the difficult step of condemning Nazis in the Klan, which was big for him because this is the sort of thing that could alienate his base. If you've ever wondered what is the polar opposite of MLK Day, it is the Iowa Republican Caucus. CPAC, if you don't know, is an annual event. It's like Comic-Con for neocons and neo-Nazis. This theory that the virus was accidentally released from a lab in Wuhan, that's his new angle to feed the wingnuts, to treat this virus like it was a conspiracy of some kind. Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy. Major League Baseball has decided not to have the All-Star Game in Atlanta this summer in response to the new law they passed in Georgia that tries to discourage people of color from voting. So baseball did the right thing and pulled the game, and now the Red Hatters are mad at them. We had the choice between a prosecutor and a criminal, and we chose the criminal to be president of the United States. More than half of this country voted for the criminal. People who've lived here their whole lives, people who've been in this city longer than I have, the vast majority of whom have never done anything wrong or being abducted, which is the correct word to use, by agents in masks, hiding their identities, grabbing people off the street.
Now, David, as you suggested, I think maybe the worst one in there is him suggesting if you're an unvaccinated person who ate horse goose, see ya.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Look, this is anecdotal, but man, I know a lot of people who have not forgotten that one.
Yeah.
To suggest that good luck dying, Wheezy.
Yeah.
So just people have not forgotten or forgiven Kimmel for that remark. It came at the height of things where people were unsure about whether or not to get vaccinated and making their own personal decisions, and it just to wish that amount of people to die. I'm actually surprised hearing that another time that it's taken this long for the affiliate companies to respond, because I think he could have been dismissed just for that one.
Sure, and this suggests, it kind of gets at what Curtis was saying, and this is what we saw right away last night. Like I was at church in choir practice. I missed all this, but these guys were on it right away, and they went right to the lectures about First Amendment and free speech.
Jimmy, you're asking Thomas Paine.
Oh, he compared it to Thomas Paine. And my response to that is...
Jimmy Kimmel is Thomas Paine.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel is not Thomas Paine. Jimmy Kimmel is not Mark Twain. He's just sick brain.
Right. I mean, the left is always trying to go to historical parallels. I mean, Thursday afternoon, we had a Larry Sabato go on CNN and compare it to the Alien Sedition Act and the Civil War. And it's the left is always trying to go to these historical points. And we just have to have this recognition that, you know, we can't live in an era of self-importance. You know, we think we live... You know, how many times have we heard that this is like the most important election ever with the left?
Well, I mean, people want every election to be a grand drama and they want to put themselves at the center of it. Main character syndrome, is that what they call it? But the reality is, yes, historians will look back and say, was this era significant or was that era significant? I think we would certainly think Trump's second term is going to be a whopper.
If moving ahead a little bit, let's say he doesn't come back to ABC and ABC wants to maintain a late night comedic presence. What are their options?
There's lots of options. I mean, Kimmel has guest hosts all summer long, and there's all kinds of comedians that would happily take that show.
Nate Bargatze.
See, but this is the point, and we need to go. But Nate Bargatze hosted the Emmys. And Variety attacked him because he was apolitical.
And the ratings
How dare you?
And the ratings were up. It was, I don't think quite 10%, but almost 10%, something like that. It was one of the best Emmys in quite a long time.
Rated.
In quite a long time in this, you know, decade-ish because of that. So, and the other one I would just say, I mean, this would be taken for Fox, but Kat Timpf, there's many people that Gutfeld gives a chance to do on the panel. So,
well, I just think that.
Do you think they will? They'll maintain? They'll try to do it?
I'm going to be skeptical. I'm always cynical and skeptical, just like I didn't think NPR and PBS were going to get their money to fund it. So I'm the wrong person to ask.
Glass half full, man.
If CBS isn't replacing Colbert, then I don't know.
What's the decision on that? Is that final?
Yeah, CBS
they're out.
That when local news is done, it is, you know.
What happens?
Have your own syndicated programming.
Yeah,
is what
overnight.
they'll be doing.
Yeah.
So
local influencers. That's cool.
All of this is is after Charlie Kirk's death, and this is one obvious reason why the Emmys were fairly apolitical, because we should still be in a sensitive time, and Kimmel's shown that he refused to bend to that idea of sensitivity. We will keep up with this to see whether he's gone or whether he's back in 2 weeks. But in the meantime, to keep up with the news and the comedy, you gotta come to Newsbusters once, twice, 24 times a day. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.